As 2019 comes to an end, it's time to reflect on all the amazing, tragic, hilarious, and downright strange things that have gone on this year. For this list, we'll be discussing unsolved mysteries of 2019. Some of these are lighthearted and weird, but others are completely unsettling. Number 5. For some users, this entry may be funny, but to others, it could be terrifying. It all really depends on your opinion of creepy dolls and how far you think things should go for a prank. In August of 2019, in the area of Festus, Missouri, residents began noticing eerie toys placed randomly across town. They weren't just any toys though, they were impressive creepy dolls that could be absolutely horrifying for those that fear the lifeless eyes of these objects. The dolls were mostly placed in front of buildings with high traffic and busy street signs. It seemed that every day new dolls were found around town. Residents quickly began talking about the toys, taking photos of them, and even making I Spy games. For the most part, the prank seemed harmless enough and was taken lightly by the community. Of course, there were a few groups of people that found the trend threatening, concerning, or scary. Some residents began to worry that the dolls were serving as a distraction for drivers and pedestrians along busy streets, making traffic more dangerous than usual. Others mentioned that if someone had a phobia of dolls and they were to stumble across them, unaware of the joke, they could be deeply traumatized. Festus Chief of Police, Tim Lewis, made a public statement after a brief investigation into the doll situation, in which he shared that the police department was unable to identify the prankster responsible. He also stated that the most troubling aspect of the dolls were that they seemed to be placed where they were going to be seen, on purpose. He explained that the dolls were very realistic and resembled human infants and children. Additionally, some of them were positioned as though they were in distress, and once again could cause a distraction for drivers and citizens that tried to attend to what they assumed was a real child. This brought up the issue that the dolls could be part of gang violence or human trafficking tactics. The general idea with this theory is that unsuspecting drivers would exit their cars late at night to help the children and then be attacked or abducted. However, since the doll frenzy began, no such cases were reported, suggesting that perhaps the entire ordeal was just an innocent, weird prank. Police have still not identified the prankster, and while the dolls have lowered in numbers, the activity allegedly still continues. Number 4. In April of 2019, a woman from Seattle, Washington named Sasha Martin was left with an unsettling, mysterious gift. While part of this mystery has since been solved, another major aspect remains unknown. Sasha was in the middle of moving apartments and had to take several trips between the location throughout the day. On a Friday night, she finally wrapped up a day of exhausting work and went to bed. The following morning, she woke up around 6 a.m. to head to a running group. She walked out to her SUV in the parking lot and immediately noticed a wooden box placed on her hood. Obviously, she was very confused and hesitant, knowing nothing about the box's contents or origins. As Sasha explained in an interview, she was scared to approach the box at first, with many thoughts running through her mind. She also considered the possibility that the box belonged to someone else, or perhaps one of her neighbors that placed it on her car while carrying things to their apartment and then it was forgotten. Finally, she placed the box on the ground, hoping the owners would return for it. 12 hours later, when she returned, the box was in the same spot. She brought the box inside and began posting photos of it online. Many commenters explained that it looked like a box intended for holding cremation ashes or an urn. Sasha opened the box to find white ashes inside, confirming the suspicion. She decided that the box was likely the remains of someone's pet, so she called the apartment managers and asked them to send out a message to other residents, informing them that she had the box. Her online photos went viral, as people searched for the owners. Eventually, someone contacted her to tell her that the box was way too large to be the ashes of a pet, explaining that 1 pound would have been equal to about 1 cubic inch of box. After some math, she found that the remains would have belonged to someone weighing about 420 pounds, obviously a person and not an animal. Sasha then contacted the police department. An investigation was open and a local coroner confirmed that the ashes were human, but they couldn't trace the origins of the box or identify the person. Police looked into the apartment's security cameras, but Sasha's vehicle was parked out of view on the night that the ashes were left behind. Although she now knows that the remains belong to a person, she still has no idea who left the box or why. It seems that if someone left it behind on accident, they should be looking for it by now. Instead, the running theory is that someone left them there on purpose, but again, it's unclear why. Number 3. This entry is similar to the doll issue in Missouri, but somehow even weirder. A small community in Mississippi was taken by surprise when they began finding random servings of mashed potatoes left around the neighborhood. One victim of the odd prank found the food placed on his car one morning. Completely confused, he decided to contact other residents, and this strange story began to quickly unfold, exposing just how much it had spread. Residents all over town started sharing their own stories of mashed potato droppings. While the story really hasn't gained media attention since April of 2019, the prank had apparently been ongoing for months. Most residents claim they didn't report their findings because they assumed it was just a harmless incident. While many of them had only found the mashed potatoes once, others were targeted several times in a row. Some of the droppings were left on cars, porches, and front yards. Others were more creative though, being left behind in mailboxes or bags stapled to front doors. A few days after the buzz of the spuds started to spread, someone posted their findings on a Facebook group, and people from the neighborhood towns and communities revealed that they'd been the victims of these potato gifts. No one was too bothered by it, however, and in most cases they simply cleaned up the food and carried on with their day. Police eventually became involved and were unable to track down the prankster. Although some residents had security cameras on their property, it seemed the delivery person was too clever for that and was never captured on footage. The biggest concern with this case is that the food is poisoned and intended to harm the residents, or perhaps their pets. Obviously, no one went as far as eating or even tasting the food left behind, as they all pretty much agreed that that was a bad idea. Other running theories suggest that the prank is yet another trap left behind by gang members and human traffickers. The idea is the same as before. The food would be left behind and the residents would come out early the next morning to clean it up, and then they would be attacked or abducted. Police in the area insist that this isn't the case here, and it's just another prank, likely played by the neighborhood teens or residents of other towns passing through. The potato assailant has still not been identified. Number 2. This is another example of odd items being left behind in a community, but it's much more unsettling than simple dolls or mashed potatoes. In this case, a neighborhood in Santa Barbara, California, began noticing clumps of hair left behind in the middle of the road in March of 2019. The hair bundles were significant in size and tied together with string or rope. Their colors varied, as did their locations. The only constant was that each bundle was left in the middle of the road, no matter how busy. People started exiting their cars to collect the bundles. Some of them reported their findings to police, but kept the hair for some strange reason. It's unclear exactly how many hairballs were found, but the number was apparently so high that police had lost count. Additionally, a reporter that covered this story in its early stages was able to collect several bundles of hair for their broadcast. Tests found that the hair was either human hair or horse hair. Of course, it was difficult for any of the human hair to be matched back to anyone, but that does mean that it's unlikely it came from any sort of victim. Once again, the purpose behind this is completely unclear, and some residents expressed their concerns and fears. This could be another trap meant to distract drivers, but it still leaves the question of where someone's getting such a high volume of hair, and of all the things to leave behind, why hair? One theory speculated that the hair was meant to be donated but somehow got lost or left behind during the donor's journey. While residents started sharing their stories though, it became clear that the route in which the hair was found was too random to suggest that anyone had a specific destination. Another theory is that the hair is some sort of cultural ritual. This is also dismissed due to the fact that the hair seemed to be dropped around the town with no specific region in mind. Some hair was found in the middle of the night, while others were found in the middle of the day. Police found that none of the hair left behind was laced with any sort of harmful chemicals. They were also unable to track the suspect, however. Although the hair was found to be harmless, police still suggested that residents avoid touching any bundles and instead call the city for it to be collected and added to the ongoing investigation. Online resources claim that the hair bundle crisis has stopped, with no new gifts left behind. Police have apparently still been trying to find the culprit. Number 1. 50-year-old Jennifer Doulos vanished from her home in Connecticut on May 24, 2019. That morning, Jennifer dropped off her children at school, and it would turn out to be the last time that she was ever seen. She missed a doctor's appointment in the day in New York City and was reported missing by her friends later that night when she didn't answer their calls and failed to pick up her children. That same night, police arrived at Jennifer's home to begin their search. In her garage, they found streaks of blood across the floor, which they later confirmed to belong to the missing woman. Other evidence inside the home suggests that Jennifer was the victim of an assault. However, there were no signs of a break-in, meaning that she likely knew her attacker personally. Police continued to search for the woman, but were unable to locate her or her remains. They did find her car, which was abandoned in a secluded area near the home. The investigation later located security camera footage of Jennifer's husband, who she was split from, and his current girlfriend dumping various garage bags across 30 trash bins in Hartford. When these bags were collected, they were filled with trash, but they also contained clothing and materials covered in Jennifer's blood. The couple was apprehended and considered the prime suspects in the case. Police have stated that they presume Jennifer is no longer alive, but without a body, they don't have strong enough evidence to charge the suspects. Jennifer's whereabouts or her possible fate is still a mystery. Her husband has recently pushed for a court order approving a divorce despite the woman's absence. This is seen as another detail to support the theory that he and his girlfriend were responsible for Jennifer's disappearance. However, it's still not enough information to pursue charges, as they've both denied any involvement or wrongdoing, therefore also refusing to confess any information about Jennifer. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos. And if you enjoyed this narration, maybe consider checking out my personal channel at youtube.com/ty_knots.